What is up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be showcasing the work in progress for my upcoming wave-based shooter I simply refer to as Project Outbreak. One thing I've recently added was a basic melee function. So far the animation is a little wonky since it's just really a placeholder, so that's why it kind of looks like the player punches a zombie, but pretty much the premise is basically for the most part self-explanatory. Like, you get up close to the zombie, you can press the melee button and deal damage. So for pretty much how the system works in and of itself is when a player presses the melee button, it shoots off a short line trace basically, and if that line trace hits a zombie, then it'll deal the zombie X amount of damage. In the future I might maybe replace the animation to make it more akin to something you see with classic Call of Duty such as World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops, the player's gun disappears and the knife swings across the screen. But for now, it's just this basic melee animation, and I might maybe try to refine the system a little further, but I think so far I got something pretty good going with it. So far with kind of developing this game, one of the big things I've actually stumbled across that was actually a lot more of a problem than I thought it was going to be was the barricades. So for a quick explanation of the barricades, pretty much the premise is that you got the barricade up on the wall, the zombies walk up to the barricade, the zombies destroy the barricade, go into the building, and the player also has the ability to repair said barricade for points, meaning each time a board comes up you get 10 points, which again, because of the type of game I'm building, this system was based on the system from early Call of Duty Zombies, where you repair the barricades, the zombies tear down the barricades. However, maybe it's just the approach I'm doing it in, maybe there's like a better approach for this, but currently I've actually come across quite a bit of a headache trying to get this system up and running, and even now I still have a lot of issues, such as if there's multiple zombies at the barricade, none of them apparently can seem to be able to start tearing down the barricades. Sometimes if a zombie shows up, they just start wandering around with no idea what to do. So yeah, the barricades have been quite a bit of a frustration to me. So another thing I also opted to do, actually this was something I actually started working on when I was updating the map, was actually updated one of the doors. So I plan on going through and updating all the doors because at the time when I first built the buy doors, or pretty much for those that don't know what a buy door is, it's basically a door, you walk up to it, it says you're going to pay 750 points to open this door, and you press the interact button, you lose 750 points, but you open the door. And early on, I simply just had a cube where when you interacted with it, you spent the points, you opened the door, the actor would just delete itself. However, with one of the doors, I actually decided to go in and update the model. I pretty much decided to just kind of go in and create sort of like a garage or like a barn door. Something that like you can just grab the handle, slide it open, just like a quick simple little thing. I might actually flesh out the model a little further, maybe add some like damage to it, add like an actual handle, and then I might actually work on other doors, or even just make it like a sofa that's in a way that kind of disappears when you spend the money to open up that room. So another thing I actually decided to do was to go in and actually start building up the map, meaning it's no longer just going to be basically just prototype cubes. Instead, it's going to be an actual map, meaning I'm going to actually start switching out the cubes with more proper final meshes. So the map itself is not finished yet. I'm still doing the finalizing, the polishing. However, the plan for the map, or at least sort of like what the map's about, the storyline of the map, I'm just kind of really just making things up by the seat of my pants. Overall, I'm trying to go for more of like a kind of like a research station kind of thing, a little like small little research lab. But overall, the main thing I wanted to do with the map was I wanted to actually create like a small little map, something that's similar to World at War's Nocturne Code, meaning that I just wanted to make like a small little map that has like a nice little flow to it. It's very simple, it won't take me long to build, and plus it will also help me focus on making sure things like the core gameplay loop is functioning, make sure things are polished. I do, however, plan on maybe adding more maps in the future. However, for the time being, it's just going to be this one map. So for the actual design of the map, which it's meant to be reminiscent of something like a remote research facility, or like a small little research lab. And for the idea of the game's sort of background, I was going for something that's sci-fi, but yet also somewhat grounded and based in realism. Something akin you would see from like Avatar. So another thing I actually decided to do was switch out the basic projectile system I had and switch it over to hit scan, and this was done for a few reasons. Though to start, I will admit I may have used a starter asset pack for the first person shooter mechanics, which was, I think it was called like FPS template tutorial by Infirma Games, which is a free asset pack I used, and I pretty much just built off of that. And the system did have like a basic projectile system that I decided to flesh out a little further. However, after a while, especially playing a game once I start getting into later rounds and started getting a hold of things like machine guns or even implementing a shotgun, I started coming across some issues pertaining to things like some possible feedback issues and mostly optimization. Meaning that once you have like 15 zombies in front of you with a shotgun, and the second you start firing, the frames will start dropping. Hence why I opted to switch over to HitScan, because I kind of feel like HitScan, getting that feedback, is a lot quicker, a lot more foolproof, along with the fact that it saves a lot for performance. And also, once I implement co-op, which probably won't be around release, but will probably be somewhere time in the future, it will be a lot easier to implement. And plus, the way I kind of see it, this game is more of like an arcadey kind of shooter. Like, it's not meant to be like anything realistic or tactical. So for the most part, it's, again, because I want to kind of replicate experiences, or this game is mostly because this game is meant to be kind of reminiscent of like classic Call of Duty titles such as World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2. So that's why I actually opted to switch over to HitScan. If you liked what you saw and you want to support the project, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to support me personally, you're more than welcome to donate any kind of money to my new Buy Me a Coffee page.